So now we're going to talk about intuitive eating. I'm going to explain to you what intuitive eating is first. So intuitive eating is a non-dieting approach to changing your eating habits. According to the National Eating Disorders Association, intuitive eating is about trusting your body to make choices that feel good for you without judging yourself or the influence of diet culture. We're all born with the ability to know when to eat and when to stop eating. And we also know what is pleasurable and satisfying. However, most of us start to become more disconnected and less trusting of our own internal wisdom with influences of family, friends, media, and diet culture. So basically, intuitive eating is listening to your body and listening to your hunger and full cues. Also, eating the foods that you feel like eating because they feel good for you, they feel pleasurable, they feel satisfying. And also not sticking to any of these rules that you might have heard. So as an example, eat everything on your plate or you're not getting dessert. How many times were you told that as a kid? When you were actually stuffed, you were full, and you didn't feel like eating the rest of on your plate. You can't eat carbs after 3 p.m. or you'll get fat. That is one rule that I followed in the very beginning of my journey. And let me tell you, you can eat carbs overnight time. It doesn't matter what time of the day you eat your carbs, and it doesn't matter what time of the day you actually eat food as well. Because I'm sure you've probably heard the rule of don't eat after 5:30. I think Oprah Winfrey used to bang on about that in the 90s. Fat is bad for you. This is one rule I think in the 90s my mum had followed as well, and I can't even begin to think about the hormonal shitstorm the women in the 90s would have gone through by cutting out fat out of their diet. Cheat meals. I 100% do not believe in cheat meals. You should never cheat on your diet. Your diet is simply the way that you eat. And if that means you eat McDonald's or you eat pizza or you eat ice cream and chocolate, that is just your diet. It is not a cheat meal. You're not cheating on your diet from eating those foods. It is okay to include those foods into your diet. Okay, so it's about ridding yourself of these diet culture rules. It's about not listening to the influences of your friends and family and listening to what they have to say about what you're eating or how you should eat. And also not listening to media, which really markets and puts these diet culture rules out there. So these are the 10 principles of intuitive eating, okay? So intuitive eating isn't like, oh, okay, I feel like an egg and bacon roll and a can of Coke for breakfast. I feel like a quarter pounder meal for lunch. I feel like Hungry Jacks for dinner. It's not that, okay? It's still about having that respect for your body and nourishing your body with good, healthy foods, but also allowing yourself to actually eat the foods that you want to eat, okay? So rejecting the diet mentality. So saying no to fad diets and the really rigid eating rules. So this is why I don't promote level 1 tracking in my fitness pal, because I feel like it is quite rigid and it kind of enforces those rigid eating rules. So focus on being well instead of changing your body, okay? So when you're approaching your nutrition, rather than changing your nutrition to change the way your body looks, look at it from a well-being perspective, and you're changing your nutrition so you feel good from the inside out. So you're nourishing your body with good, healthy foods so you can live longer, you can have better energy, so you feel happier and more alive. So when you start fueling your body with the right kind of foods and looking at it from a wellness side of things instead of changing the way you physically look, that's when the changes in your body actually happen. So changing the food police. Stop equating your worth to the good or bad of the food that you ate today, okay? So stop labeling foods as good or bad, okay? Because if you ate a diet entirely of fruit, that is not going to be healthy for you because you're not getting in all these other nutrients and macros that your body needs, okay? So even though fruit, quote unquote, is a good food, if that's all you ate, then it's not going to be a very healthy diet, okay? And the same goes with Snickers. If we ate a very nourishing diet throughout the day, but we included a Snickers in our diet every single day, that doesn't make your diet bad. It doesn't make it good. It doesn't make that Snickers good or bad. However, if we ate a diet entirely of Snickers, then that's when it's going to make our diet unhealthy. So the third point is honouring your feelings. So finding ways to comfort yourself without food. So rather than turning to food in a time of sadness or feeling low, try and find another way to deal with those feelings other than food. So you might call a friend, might have a nice relaxing bath, go for a walk in nature, listen to a podcast, read a book, lay in the sun, go for a swim. There's so many other options than turning to food for comfort. So the fourth point is honouring your hunger. So keeping your body fed with an adequate amount of calories through the day and not ignoring those hunger cues. So if you've had the breakfast that you've planned out and you have planned out another meal at 4 hours later, but you actually get hungry between those meals and it's at the point where you're like getting dizzy and you're shaking and stuff, then freaking eat, girl. Even if you do have those hunger cues where you're like, you know what, I actually do need to eat something before lunch, otherwise I'm going to end up binge eating. Honor those hunger cues and eat something small. Have a big glass of water as well. So it's not about cutting out everything and thinking, oh, I can't eat because I haven't planned out my next meal isn't for 5 hours. No, you can eat when you're hungry. So number 5, I think this one is respecting your fullness. Now, this is something that kind of ties into, I think it was the first points about, what was it? Eat everything on your plate, okay? If you're full, then honour that. You don't have to eat everything that's on your plate just because you've dished it out. Same as when you go out for dinner and you order something and you paid for it. Just because you've ordered it and you paid for it doesn't mean that you have to eat every single bite. If you're full, then you're full. I read something the other day about if you stop when you're 80% full, then that's going to do, it's going to be much better for your digestive system than trying to stuff yourself until you're completely full. So try stopping when you're about 80% full and listen to your hunger cues as well. Like if you get halfway through a meal and you're full, then listen to your body and honour that. And the more you get in tune with your hunger and full signals and recognize that, okay, I'm actually full, I can stop eating, the better relationship you are going to have with food and your body. So point 6, learning to respect your body. So learn to accept your body by remembering your worth does not increase as your size decreases, okay? So learning to love your body before you're even at your body composition goal is going to help with your food choices as well, because if you accept the way you are and you love your body for what it is in the state that it is in, then you're going to have more respect for it to feed it more nourishing food, okay? And you need to start learning to love your body before you get to this goal that you think is going to make you happy. You can be happy and in love with your body before you even meet those body composition goals, okay? So just remember that the way you look doesn't make you worthy or not worthy, okay? So honouring your health. So this point I've kind of touched on already, but it's an anti-diet, sorry. Anti-diet does not mean anti-health. So you still want to be choosing nutrient-dense foods most of the time, but still allowing for some indulgences without having guilt around that, okay? So it's about having respect for your body to feed it the foods that it needs nutritionally, but then to also know that it is okay for you to indulge on some chocolate or for you to indulge on a cheeseburger from McDonald's and to be able to eat those foods without any guilt. It is okay to eat those foods, but we want to make them work within our health goals as well. So it's about choosing nutrient-dense food most of the time, but then allowing yourself these guilt-free indulgences every day if you wanted to, really. So this one I think is a really big one, making peace with food. Restriction often leads to overeating. So give yourself permission to eat all the foods. So making peace with food is really important for people who come from like an eating disordered background, okay? Because food is actually fuel for your body, and you actually need a certain amount of food for your body to thrive optimally, okay? So it's important that you make peace with food and know that it's actually okay for you to consume food. Because if you've come from an a disordered eating background, then just the whole process of actually eating food and realizing, oh my God, I'm allowed to eat this much food is really, really important. So point number 9, discovering satisfaction. So food is an experience meant to be nourishing, joyful, and satisfying, if you let it be. So one of my biggest things in life is food experience. I love going to a restaurant. I love trying something someone else has cooked. I don't particularly like cooking myself. So when I go and pay for a food and I have that experience of trying all these different kind of foods that I would never, ever, ever cook in my life, I get so much satisfaction out of that. I get so much joy, and going on holidays is so exciting for me, not for the fact that I'm on holidays, but it's the fact that I get to try all these new foods. So that's a huge part of intuitive eating, is actually like having that satisfaction around eating. So I know point 10 isn't food related, but I think it comes hand in hand with intuitive eating and exercise to feel the difference. So exercise doesn't only count when you're at the gym, it counts outside the gym. In fact, what you do outside the gym is more important to what you do inside the gym. So if you go sit on your ass all day and you come to the gym for 45 minutes, well, you've really only moved your body for 45 minutes of that day. So I wouldn't really consider you to be an active person. You're just a person who goes to the gym, who has a desk job. However, if you have a desk job and you go for a walk before work, you get up constantly from your desk, moving around all day. Let's say you hit 6,000, 7,000 steps and you go to the gym, that would be considered active. Okay, you'd be considered an active person then. So the gym isn't the only thing that counts. Having that relationship with exercise to want to move your body regularly, I think, is super important when it comes to intuitive eating, because food and movement come hand in hand.